And if the truth be told, most of us were them unlovable folks sometime. But God loved us. See, that's a radical change of perspective because most of the time we are busy trying to change people, but God is trying to work a change in us. We want people to change, but God is trying to change us and mold us into his image. God is trying to do a work in us that will show the world that we are God's children. God is doing a work in our lives that will make us radically different from the rest of the people in the world. That's why he's called us to be light in this world. That's why he's called us to be salt of the earth. God has put that love inside of us that is strong enough, check this out, to be a blessing to your friends. At the same time, he's given you enough love to handle the enemies in your life. And so that the love that you got is so good, it'll be a blessing for your friends and a blessing for your loved one, but it's enough to deal with that occasional knucklehead, crazy, Looney Tune person that you got to deal with every day. What do I mean is that most of the time, the love you have will be for those that are close to you, your friends, the people that you generally like. But when the time comes that you encounter someone who's not so friendly, not so close to you, not so likable, God has given you, beloved, a supernatural love that he's placed on the inside of you, powered by the Spirit of God, and that love can handle troubled folk in your life. That's why the first fruit of the Spirit, listed in Galatians chapter 5, 22 and 23, is love. Love is that product of that Spirit-filled life that will produce in you something that identifies you as one of God's children. You want to look like God's children, you got to have his DNA, and part of God's DNA is loving folk that were unlovable. How do I know? I was one of those unlovable folk, but God reached down, picked me up, turned me around, and gave me a new song. Why? Because he loved me, and now that love that was in him is in me, and I'm supposed to, and you're supposed to love like that. That is hard, but you have been given the tools necessary. That's how you know you love God. That's how you know you're in the Word. You're in the Lord, because a radical change has happened, and you're loving folk that last week you would have knocked out. You're loving folk, amen. So you have a love on the inside of you that's powered by God that will give you the ability to hold your tongue when folk are talking about you. You got a love powered by God that's in you that can help you keep from going up somebody's head when they're getting on your last nerves. Beloved, you got a love inside of you that can keep you from cussing out that co-worker. You got a love powered by God that'll keep you from acting a fool when you're just about there, you're just about turned up. Look, the love, that love was made for your friends. It was made for folks that you like, but check it out, it's strong enough to handle the difficult people in your life. I remember years ago when I had my power washing business, I was working on this lady. Oh man, I was getting upset. I was working on this lady's gutters, and oh my gosh, her gutters were filthy, and they'd been filthy for 30 years. I'm like, oh man, I could not get them clean. I tried, and I went to my car, and I'm throwing stuff in my car, I'm looking, and I found some stuff that I usually put on my tires, man. I never use it for anything else. It was good for my tire. The label said tire stuff. I was using it for my tire. I said, you know what? Maybe it's good enough for my car. Just maybe it might work on these gutters. I sprayed it a couple times and hit it with the garden hose, not even with the power hose, and then it came right off. It was made for my tires, but it was strong enough for her gutters. And when you said that even the, and it wasn't made for her gutter, there was nowhere on the label used on old lady dirty gutters. It never said that, but it was good enough for her gutters. And beloved, you got to understand, God has given you a love that normally is reserved for the folk that are around you, that can, but it's so strong, it's so great, it's got qualities in it, it's got ingredients in the love that can handle even the most difficult people. Because see, even your friends gonna need forgiveness, even your lovers gonna need some forgiveness, but they're not gonna need it all the time. But you're gonna have some enemies, some difficult, some haters, or whatever you want to call it, come to your life, and God has given you enough love to handle them and bless them and help them, because that's the kind of love that God has given us. And the only way for to know, listen here, the only way, let me say it again, the only way for you to know is to experience some hardships at the hand of another and then have the capacity to forgive.